G'day and welcome to Cuba de Rio. I'm Matt Scolle, and it has been a bloody long while since I've said those words, and I apologise profusely, but I hope everything, the reason for the massive gap between episodes will be explained in this podcast, because I was having an absolutely brilliant time in the south of Brazil there. And I just didn't manage to find an English-speaking person to do an interview with me, and so the podcast got put off. But we're finally here, and I've got my interview with what I think will possibly be the last Brazilian on the podcast. So there's that to look forward to. But I've condensed 2.5 weeks travel down into the next little package that you'll hear. So it's a pretty dense one, and then we've got a great interview to follow. So where we start is where we left off, all the way back in Sao Paulo, which is, it seems a month away from where I'm standing, even though it's not quite that time. But Sao Paulo is where we leave off from. And then I'm currently in Uruguay, but we'll get to that next week. Sao Paulo's metro system transports some 4 million passengers a day, and a huge number is due to the fact that Sao Paulo is in fact the second largest city on the American continents, both north and south, after Mexico City. It's got between 14 and 16 million people living in Sao Paulo, and it's the industrial and cultural hub of Brazil. But this metro was pretty cool. It's got multiple lines that they pretty much can take you anywhere in the city. But the coolest thing I think I saw in these metros were these advertisements that, as you went shooting down a tunnel, these LED screens that are about maybe 200 meters long flicker into life, judge the speed of the train, and then sync up their images so that you've got this one ad floating past you in the darkness of the tunnel the whole time, and it can play videos on it and everything. It was a marvellous piece of advertising technology, and something I haven't ever seen anywhere else in the world. And I was very impressed to find it here in Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo as a city, mind you, is absolutely enormous. It's just a giant blob on the map when you look at it. And the reason it is so large and not as compact as Rio Center is because it takes place on top of these mountains. So it's just these undulating hills in all directions around Sao Paulo. And just these hills are covered in these towering white apartment buildings as far as the eye can see. It's genuinely quite impressive. And the fact that you can see as far as you can here, it surprised me as well, because the air here is pretty damn clean here in Sao Paulo. There's plenty of trees in the place I'm staying, which is Villa Magdalena, which is a sort of hipster village. Just got sort of spray painting culture and things and mad graffiti places all over the place. It's a pretty cool place to stay, and pretty central to the rest of Sao Paulo, Villa Magdalena. If you want to stay there, it's graffiti hub's called Beco de Batman, and it's because someone sprayed a Batman a couple of years ago, and then it just took off and it's turned into this hipster place. But aside from that aspect of Sao Paulo's culture, it's got a huge immigrant culture to it as well, and it's home to both it's the largest Italian population outside of Italy and the largest Japanese population. And I must say, the Japanese population and we've got a way more interesting story that we'll dive into. It's centered in the district of Liberdade, which is just near the center of Sao Paulo, where the Metropolitan Cathedral is and there is a terrible homeless problem here in Sao Paulo, and it all is centered in that sort of main commercial area. It didn't help the fact that we were wandering around there on a Sunday when all the shops were shut and there was just homeless people absolutely everywhere. It was very sad to see, all the way up to the door of the Metropolitan Cathedral. But beyond that is the bustling, lively town of Liberdade. It's this Japanese suburb, and it's got the tackiest Japanese lanterns everywhere, but it has some little quirks like these guys that we found playing at the back of a Japanese restaurant. They were pretty awesome, and I must say that we had some pretty poor tempura prawns there, but the music was fine, so we were happy about it. But the story of Japanese immigration to Brazil is an interesting one, fascinatingly explored by the Japanese Immigration Museum. which is absolutely mint compared to all the other museums. I'll mention them a bit later, but I'll only just give you an idea of the starting conditions for Japanese immigration, because it is a long story, and it ends with the second largest, it ends with the largest Japanese population outside of Japan. So it took a while to establish that, but the starting conditions are fantastic. So there are two things happening. There was one thing that happened in Brazil, the abolition of slavery in 1888. And then the start of the Meiji Restoration in Japan in 1868. And the Meiji Restoration kicked off with quite a sharp increase in land taxes, which pushed a lot of people off the land. And I was very surprised with how quickly the Japanese population started looking for other places to go. And even by late 1868, the first Japanese immigrant wave had left Japan and arrived in Hawaii. And it took them some more time to reach South America. You might remember there's a large Japanese population in Peru as well. And you had the Peruvian presidential candidate Kiko Fujimori, running for president last year. But it took them a while longer to get to Brazil. And Brazil was supplementing its slave labour force with cheap European labour from Italy and Germany before that. And there's huge amounts of Germans in the south of Brazil, which we'll discover in the next week to come. But the Japanese actually signed a formal immigration agreement with the Brazilians in 1895, and they were distracted for the next couple of years, with the Manchurian War against Russia and the like. But once they won that war against Russia in 1905, scaring the shit out of Australia in the process, they captured a bunch of Russian ships and turned the majority of them into passenger ship vessels. And the first of these, the Katsato Mayo, arrived in Brazil with 781 Japanese passengers in 1908 here in Brazil. And they were funneled into agricultural jobs and started businesses, which eventually led to that sort of Sao Paulo agricultural region. Connections within the Japanese community led to Sao Paulo becoming such a huge hub for food distribution and the like, which you'll see in the next segment, where we visited South America's largest food distribution and coordination hub in this amazing market called Ceasa. It's just a crazy place, and that's coming up. We're in Ceasa, which is one of the most incredible places I've ever seen. What it is basically the holding pen for all of Sao Paulo's fruit and vegetables, and in being so, it is the largest fruit and vegetable market in South America, because Sao Paulo is South America's largest city. I think this is where the fruit arrives for some 14 to 16 million people. I've yet to put that down, and the quantities are insane. We just came in through a truck's entrance, and we first arrived in what is the lettuce hall, which is 50 metres across by 500 metres long. And I was standing on this bridge in the middle of the hall, just looking at 250 metres of lettuce, all these different varieties on either side of me. And there's hives of activity going on below me, because a lot of the vegetables moved between middlemen by these guys with carts. And the air bridge that I was on, it had warnings about how high you could stack your carts, and the limit was 3.85 metres high. And there were some guys that were coming pretty close to that, just chockers full of lettuce. And there's not only the lettuce hall, but then you move over one and you find yourself in the potato hall, and then you're surrounded by tons and tons of potatoes. And then from there you go from the potato hall to the pumpkin hall, to the citrus hall, to the banana hall, to the pineapple hall. I have seen every possible piece of fruit imaginable, and in quantities I will never again see in my life. This is an absolutely incredible day. And it's just full of all brilliant sounds, like these guys that were fixing all the wooden apple crates that come in and hold all the lettuce and the like. And it's just fruit being cleaned. It's all it turns out middlemen care what their fruit looks like, and so there's plenty of machines brushing down everything from tomatoes to pumpkins and the like, making them shiny and clean. And the fruit looks shop ready, even though it's here in these massive freaking warehouses that for some reason no one's kicked us out of just yet. So it's in this next little segment that I'll try to explain to you guys what on earth I was doing and who I was with for the 2 weeks in which I wasn't uploading podcasts. And we start up in Curitiba, which is sort of a hub. It's the economic hub of the southern region of Brazil, and it was actually host to a plebiscite for succession from Brazil, because this part of Brazil is so culturally distinct from the rest of Brazil that they actually want to form their own country. And this it was a plebiscite, and about 100,000 people voted, and there was 90% for the succession. So watch this space, I reckon. But anyway, Curitiba itself, mildly dull city. There's not a lot to do there. There's an Oscar Niemeyer museum and some interesting architecture around the place, including a wire opera house and the like. But the best thing about Curitiba was my couch surfing host Val, and this will be a theme you'll notice in the next little bit, because couch surfing really defined the last 2 weeks in Brazil, and Val was one of those defining characters. He is just the most generous and open guy. He would come home from work and we would spend all night together in some part of Curitiba. On the weekend, we went karaoke bars. He took me out to lunch at a sushi by the kilo place, which is incredible. And he also invited me to one of his friends' churrascos on Sunday afternoon. And this was something special entirely, because churrasco is sort of a typical pastime in Brazil, in addition to being the traditional food here as well. And it was just a family affair that I got to be a fly on the wall to, and it was just lovely. There was sort of meat coming off the barbecue every 10 minutes or so, and the only similarities between the churrascos we have back at home in Australia and this one is that I was ridiculously full the entire time. And the reason for that being that there was about 3 kilograms of meat at the start of the day, and that's basically steaks and this German-style sausage that they whack on the grills as well. And what you do, you roll that. It comes off the barbecue firstly. You then cut it up into tiny sort of finger food sized pieces, and then you roll that in farofa, which is this typical Brazilian powdered sort of root vegetable. And it is so delicious and salty, and it absolutely complemented this meat to the max and filled you up so crazy good the whole time. And so it was just lovely being part of this. And over the course of the day, about 50 people would have come through this guy's garage in some Curitiban suburb, and it was just lovely being the only Australian guy there. You got plenty of odd questions and the like, and I brought along a cake as well to share with the Brazilians so they could try a little bit of Australian cooking, which went down well. And Val comes back to visit us later on, but our next stop was this place.
Alô, Blumenau, bom dia, Brasil. Alles gut, alles blau, alles himmelblau in Blumenau.
And Blumenau, what a place it is. I had no idea. I was 2 hours from this place when I was in Curitiba, and Blumenau is this valley called the Vale Europeia, and it's named that way because it's got a ridiculously high proportion of European descendants in this particular part. And it also is home to this crazy noise that you're listening to now, which is the world's second largest Oktoberfest. And I had no clue I was near this thing. And someone was like, so you're going to Oktoberfest? And I was like, what? And then I got there, and I had to stay 3 nights because it was so much fun. All this dancing and the like. The music is absolutely bonkers, and seeing all these people in lederhosen and the like in Brazil is just a crazy juxtaposition with anything else I've seen this trip. It was so much fun, and they had typical songs and little things. It was like a little bit of pantomime between the guys on stage and the audience all the time, and there's loads of sing-alongs. This being the typical one, which basically translates to 1 jug of beer is too little for us, 2 jugs of beer, and then essentially that goes on until you finish your jug of beer. But the drinking aspect to this Oktoberfest wasn't the focus at all. There was actually some boutique sort of beers lying around, and I enjoyed those in substantial moderation. Anyway, the focus was in fact on the dancing and the like, and there were these huge dance numbers which, regardless of which of the 4 massive halls you went in, the bands were all playing the same songs the entire time, and it did really get quite irritating by the end. It definitely traded on the fact that everyone was drunk and would hopefully not notice the fact they were all playing exactly the same songs. But even outside of Oktoberfest, these songs followed you around, and I was in Blumenau for one of their many Oktoberfest parades, and here, clearly it's the same songs all over again, just played by school children in between all the beer advertising floats. It was a pretty amazing festival. And I had so much fun because, again, I was with these amazing couchsurfing hosts in Blumenau, which looked after me and showed me the amazing little surrounding cities around Blumenau. One called Pomerode, which is the highest proportion German descendancy in all of Brazil. It's about 90% German descendancy, and they've got these lovely little German-style houses in the Brazilian countryside, which, again, it's a crazy juxtaposition to see these Northern European architecture amongst the palm trees and the like. Absolutely bonkers, and such a fun time at the festival with these hosts that they really looked after me. I'm very appreciative to Dan and Danny. It was just a fantastic time, and again, that was when I missed my first podcast deadline because I was having so much fun with these guys. Anyway, after that, we head down south to this island city of Florianopolis, and Florianopolis is this huge island. It's about 400 square kilometers, but it's got beaches down one side, and it's got this little peninsula that stretches towards the mainland with a bridge that connects Florianopolis to the rest of Brazil. And Florianopolis would be the only place in Brazil I would want to move to, because it has got everything that Sydney does. It's this bustling metropolis on one side of the island, the side of the island that's closest to the mainland, and then on the other side of the island is this northern New South Wales coast-style beaches, which have sand dunes behind them. The sand is so clean, it squeaks under your feet, and the surf was incredible up and down this coastline. It was so much fun, and the only reason I got to visit so many beaches while I was there was because Val, our mate from Curitiba, came down to Florianopolis to visit some friends and spent the days with me, and we would drive around Florianopolis visiting all the beaches and the like, and it was so good seeing this guy again. It was lovely to spend the day with him in a different city about 400 kilometers away from Curitiba. But that's the sort of people that you find in this couch surfing. And I was couch surfing again with 2 university students right next door to the State University of Santa Catarina with these other couch surfers. And again, they took me out to this club, which started at 1 a.m. and went through to dawn. I've never partied like that before, but here I was with these couch surfers. They were just out to show me a good time, and will do that to any person that comes through their homes. It's a bizarre website that I'm so pleased to be a part of. It's so much fun. And then from Florianopolis, we head further south to what is effectively our last stop in Brazil. And I decided after all the partying that I needed to take a break and get back to nature. And to do that, I headed south to Canyon Fortaleza and Cambara do Sul, which is the launching pad for this canyon country. And the canyon country I'm on about was formed a couple of 100 million years ago when Africa and South America tore apart from each other and left these huge fissures in the rock, which became these magnificent canyons, Fortaleza being the largest of them. And it is an absolutely spectacular place. I'd endured 2 days of rain before coming into there, and so all the waterfalls were going great guns, and there were swamps everywhere that were alive with little creatures, including this funny little frog that was sounding like this. No idea why he was not enjoying the rest of the rain like everyone else, but he was a bit discontent by the sounds of things. But anyway, this is my sort of last taste of Brazil before heading to the border. And it's that eclectic mix of nature, culture, and people that will really make me miss Brazil, because I've spent 2 months in this crazy country at this point, and it's been absolutely one of my favourites. And I think it's due to the amount of contact and personal relationships I've had with Brazilians themselves, who, are my favourite group of people that I've met on this trip. Compared to any other nation, I think the Cubans come in second place, but Brazilians are a league of their own in terms of their generosity of personality and just their openness to meet strangers and have a good time with them. I had so much fun. And yeah, I'm a bit sad to see Brazil behind me, but honestly, what's ahead's going to be amazing. So stick around, and we've got Uruguay, Argentina, and Chile to go. So let's get to it. And the guest I popped on this week is a guy I met in Punta del Diablo, my first stop in Uruguay, and he's just an amazing guy that sort of captures the Brazilian spirit to the extreme. And he's just, I don't know, he's definitely a traveller because he's been doing it since 2012 on and off. So great guy, and a rambly chat because I was a bit out of practice with the old interview skills, but we found we hit on some really interesting points, I reckon. So enjoy.
I'm Thiago. My name is Thiago. I'm from Brazil. Yeah.
But where in Brazil, man?
São Paulo. Yeah, São Paulo.
And how long has it been since you've been in São Paulo?
Oh, I started traveling like in 2012, September 2012. So yeah, it's been a long time since yeah.
And where did you go on that first trip then, bro? Like what?
Oh, my first one, I went to Chile. So I went to Chile to climb. A friend of mine was going there to Cochamu, and he invited me to climb. And I went and never came back. Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah.
And so has it just been here on South America, or
no,
what other parts of the world?
Other parts of the world. Like I have done like North, Central, South America, Europe, Russia, and Asia so far. Yeah.
And all those places, like, which has been the culture that stands out the most to you?
Sorry?
The culture that stands out.
Oh, Nepal, always Nepal. Nepal and Chile's awesome places.
It's not a camera, I'm afraid, but we got people waving in the background.
Yeah, Mark.
But yeah, so Nepal, and I don't know, there's so many things to ask about that huge freaking trip, but I don't know. Did you do the like Trans-Siberian Railway?
No, not yet. I'm not sure if I want to do that, but no, not yet. I want to try. Right now I'm traveling by bike, so I'm just testing myself to check if I'm able to do that. And if I am, my plan is to go to Russia to try to do the entire Russia by bike.
Oh, geez,
so that's the idea.
That's huge.
Yeah, and waiting for the summer there too, because no way of doing that on the winter time. Well, the few people that do it, but not me. Yeah. I'm too cold, man. You saw that. Yeah. Always cold.
Yeah. So, what's been the most challenging part of the world to travel in?
Oh, Russia. Yeah, that's for sure. No one is speaking English there, and you can't read. So, yeah, it's quite challenging, and it's awesome. Like, it's way better. I mean, like, I like to travel like that way when no one can talk to me. Because, like, then you have to figure out how to find yourself, how to do things.
But do you get incredibly lonely when you can't
not really.
Interact
not
with
really. People
like
interact with you anyway, like gestures and... Yeah, you do interact with people. They try to speak English, or sometimes you use, like, Google Translator to talk to people. So, yeah, you do. You're never lonely when you travel. Never, ever.
All right, okay, that's amazing, man. Like,
it's hard to be alone when you travel. Sometimes you want to be on your own, but it's quite hard because people are always with you somewhere. You always meet people, always like meet nice people, and they want to travel with you, or you want to travel with them. So that's how it goes. You're never ever alone.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. I don't know. It's. I'm thoroughly out of practice from this because I haven't sat down with someone.
Can you imagine me?
I haven't sat down for like 3 weeks because you're like the first Brazilian that I've met in the last 3 weeks that speaks decent English. Because usually I would have sat down with one of my couch surfing hosts or something like that, but no one spoke English for all that time. So how have you come to like reflect on Brazilian culture now that you've met all these other parts of the world? What parts of home do you most look forward to these days?
Oh, the northwest of Brazil. Yeah, the culture is not that different. Like, I mean, like, some places are a bit different, but not like a huge difference, you know. And I mean, like when I'm comparing Brazil to other countries, like I don't think it's that different. Like, but the northeast of Brazil is just another country. It's totally different. You have been there, right?
No.
Not really. Yeah, then it's not their history. Like, so the part I miss most, like, or the part I like better, is the northeast of Brazil. Yeah. But well, like everyone, when you never do your country in the proper way, so I don't know a lot of Brazil. I haven't been all around Brazil. Yeah.
I'm wondering, because I'm always slightly embarrassed when I meet other Australians traveling.
That's the thing.
Is that the same for Brazilians?
Oh yeah, it's the same for everyone. Like it's the same shit for everyone. Yeah, I also want to do Brazil with someone that is not from Brazil. So I'm saving Brazil for later, like when I meet someone that I want to travel together, because then I can see my own culture with other eyes.
Yeah.
So it'll be, because if I travel in Brazil, it's not going to be like, you know, like it's going to be the same. It's different, but I know everything already. I think I know everything already. So
yeah,
it would be awesome to travel with someone that never been there. That's, you know, like that would be cool.
Well, given that I just like stayed some 3 weeks with Brazilians, pretty much just Brazilians the whole time.
Yeah.
Do you think there's something unique with Brazilians and how generous they are with their time and those sorts of...
Oh, they're pretty friendly.
They are so friendly, yeah.
I know. It's nice. This is one thing I miss from home sometimes. I mean, like I said, we are never alone, but I don't know. I feel like maybe it's because I'm from Brazil, like I feel more connected to people there. Of course, I have my friends back home, and friends from like forever. So sometimes I miss that kind of connection with people when I'm traveling. I think it happens to everyone that's traveling long term. Like you meet so many people on the way, and it's always so intense. And after a few days, you're leaving, and that's it. Like, and you have to start over and over and over again all the time.
Yeah. So how do you maintain that, like, intense? How do you maintain that urge
sometimes
to travel?
It's just like up and down.
Years?
Yeah. No, you can't. I mean, like some people can, but I'm not sure if I can. It's just like up and down. Sometimes you're like really in the mood for that, and sometimes you just, like I said, you want to be alone, but never happens for real. Like,
yeah.
Then you have to go to a mountain, like in Nepal. You can sometimes you can, yeah. Go somewhere, like travel by bike. Maybe I just starting travel by bike, so I don't know how it is for real. So I think in that way it would be like a way of being alone with me, like for a few days or weeks.
Yeah, just hearing those cars go.
Yeah. That's how it goes. Not here in Uruguay, because the traffic here is pretty. Like, you don't have many cars there. Yeah. Like it's totally different from Brazil.
So why have you got stuck in Punta del Diablo then?
I don't know, man. I asked Mark, the manager. Oh, I got here for 2 days, so I was couch surfing here when I first got here, and I met some people on the beach, and I came to this hostel, and I felt really good here with people, and I'm here for a month now. Yeah.
And how often would you do that sort of stop in a place?
No, not really. I don't. Like, that's another thing that is not so nice. First, in the beginning, I was traveling like really fast, so I was going everywhere. Like, it was pretty fast.
2 nights, 4 nights.
It's also good, you know. Like,
that's
it's
what I was doing at the beginning of the trip.
Yeah, but it's also nice. Like, but you get tired of searching for a hostel. You have such a sense of purpose.
When you're going, I'm going to go from this point on the map all the way to that point on the map, and I'm going to do it at this pace.
Yeah,
you feel so dedicated to the cause.
Yeah, you do.
Whereas what I've been doing in the last couple of weeks is just like pumping the brakes, slowing down.
It is also good. Like, well, I'm thinking here, like I have been a while, and so I had a few stops on my trip. Like Sweden was one, and Russia was another one, and Nepal for sure. I spent a lot of time in Nepal, but then I was working in Nepal. Like here, I'm working. Like, so when I stopped for a long time, like, I try to work.
So what sort of jobs have you done? Because you're
not many.
You're a software developer, aren't you?
Yeah. Weird. No, I was working in Russia teaching Portuguese.
All right, okay.
Yeah, to a few people that were practicing capoeira.
Okay.
So and that, yeah, it was nice. So
Dude, we have these capoeira textbooks. We can't read them. Help us out.
That's the thing. No, but they were good in Portuguese. They had like a really decent Portuguese, so it was easy. The thing is, like, when I went to Russia, I set up a public trip and couchsurf. So I got a lot of invitations, like lot. It was awesome. Like lots of people invited me to come to their place, and one of them like was a Portuguese speaker. I mean, like she was from Russia, but she could speak Portuguese. So I found like this is a good way of doing couchsurf. So I'm gonna exchange Portuguese lessons to a place to stay. And I went there, and she was really good at Portuguese, like I said. And turns out that she was doing capoeira, and we went to the capoeira classes, and everyone there was able to speak a bit of Portuguese.
Yeah.
So it was awesome because I said, okay, so let's just have some Portuguese classes, and everyone was really happy about it. And me too, it was so funny. Like the Portuguese with the Russian accent was amazing, nice. I just love the Russian accent. That's why.
I see you te pego.
Oh yeah, man. I see you te pego. Oh, that's another funny thing about accent, like the way you sing that music, and that music is everywhere around the world. Not anymore.
Michel Tello. We should let the people know what's going on.
I was traveling like from Sweden to Norway once, and it was playing on the radio, and everyone was singing in the car. It was so funny because of the accent.
That was a huge song. What was it? 4 years ago?
Which one?
I see you te pego.
Oh, it was 5 years ago?
Yeah, because when I was in South America last, it was just taking off. And it's the biggest song in the world. It was like number one in more countries than any other song ever.
Weird. It's such a bad song.
And no one in Australia knows about it.
Really?
No.
Oh,
it didn't get
Australia.
Yeah, no.
No, just kidding. Like, yeah, cool. Well, it was all around Russia and all around Europe, and also South America was crazy.
Yeah, man, that guy will never have to write another song in his life.
No, and yeah, it's such not a nice lyric at all.
And like you're quite a physical dude, because I've noticed you've got rock climbing pictures and doing capoeira and shit.
Yeah.
So
it's just like I don't have a reason for traveling, like never had, but I like to do a sport. So wherever I am, I try to climb or to surf or to longboard, run. So
your current sport is eating bread.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. It's all right. I like 10 breads a day in the morning only. Yeah, crazy. Well, so when I can do sport, I got crazy. Like last time in India, I was sick, so I was not able to do. Not because of India. It's just like I was sick because I was in Nepal and we didn't have
you
food.
hit that wall at about 2.5 years traveling, and your body just gives up.
Yeah, it does, man. So I wasn't able to do any sport, so I was getting crazy. I was like, I really need to find somewhere where I can like run or like do whatever. And I left India because I couldn't do sport, because I was sick and I couldn't do sport, so I was like, no, I have to leave this place. But
what was wrong with you?
awesome.
Was it stomach bugs or?
Oh yeah, no, not really. When I was in Nepal, we had this. I don't know how to say in English, but when a country doesn't send any kind of food or supplement to the other because they close the border.
Yeah.
So how do you call that?
Like an embargo.
That's the thing. That's the word. So India was not sending anything to Nepal for 7 months. So we didn't have gas, cooking gas, or petrol, or nothing at all. So we couldn't cook I was there for 3 months, so I was kind of eating dried pasta every day.
Do you remember what was the spark for that? Why would they take that?
Oh, politicians thing. India was not happy with the new constitution in Nepal. I think it was something like that. And they decided to...
Caused economic pain.
Yeah, they're always putting pressure on Nepal because Nepal has no borders with the ocean.
Yeah.
It's just like China and India.
Yeah.
So they are totally screwed. And China can't send a thing because they have the Himalayas. Yeah. So it's always India's, and everything in Nepal comes from India. So that's the problem with Nepal. So they were they had no food, no cooking gas, nothing. It was a pretty bad situation in Nepal.
Yeah.
I would say worse than it was in the earthquake of April 2015.
All right.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, it was not good. So I was not eating, so I was eating just pasta every day, dried pasta, so I got very sick. I didn't realize because I was doing so much thing when I was there, I was helping people.
Out, building,
Yeah, and first I was helping with buildings, but I didn't like that much. So I went to NGO that stands for the Human Rights in Nepal, in Asia.
Yeah.
So it was awesome, and I was just running every day, going all the way around. So I thought I was tired, but I was not. I was sick. I realized
the altitude, man. I'm not used to it after 6 months.
So when I got in India, I realized that it was not good at all. I started to eat and I started to get really, really sick. And
Yeah. Have you found the skills of a software developer are useful around the world?
oh yeah, sometimes like you can fix some computers.
I've reconfigured so many Wi-Fi networks in hostels.
Oh yeah, me too. Man. Yeah, it's kind of handy. Just I don't know. If you want to travel and work, it's a very good way of doing it. Like you can develop like websites for hostels and get nights for free, or you can do like freelancer. You can be a freelancer. So, but I haven't tried for real. Like I rather like being a company than like being freelancer because I like to have my time when traveling. I don't want to work for real. I mean, like working a hostel, for example, it's something that I don't do back home. So it's quite nice. I'm learning something new, and I'm doing something that I'm never gonna do when I'm back home. So I like it. It's a new experience.
For people listening, what sort of jobs do you get around the hostel here?
Here? Oh yeah, you can get like reception or cleaning, like housekeeping or breakfast. Yeah. The one I like better is breakfast because you eat a lot and talk to people, so it's awesome. It's all the time like you're eating bread and talking to people. We also have fruits here, so it's good.
Yeah, I was wondering what was the spark though for that first trip? Because you must have had a career back in Brazil for some years before.
I was just tired, like just working too much. Like pretty much everyone, like you go to your job on Monday and you're like looking for Friday to Friday, and then like when you get on the weekend, it's like goes so fast, and you're like, oh man. And so I was like, I can't live this way. Like I'm rushing with my life, so I don't wanna have that for me. So I quit my job. It's like that.
But you were what, 28, something like that?
No, I was 33.
33.
I'm 36. No, I was 32. Yeah.
All right. Well, you're a good decade and a half ahead of me.
Yeah, man. I say you're so young, and I'm like 36 years old now.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. It's weird because I found so many people like your age that have become disillusioned with working.
Oh, because
and,
of work
and just travel.
Because it's too much. Like it's always take you so much time. Like it's like, yeah, you get tired of it. That's for sure. And if you realize you're gonna do that for the rest of your life, like you get so fuck, man. I can't like. But there's a lot of people that still doing that. Like it's funny because a lot of people, when I talk to people like back home, or they say that, oh, you are a brave man because you left. And for me, like, it's totally opposite. Like, I feel like I would be a brave man if I was doing the same state. Because it's so hard, man.
I need courage to get up every morning and go to work.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, wake up and also, I don't really... I mean, like, I really enjoy it, like, being a developer. I really like it.
Yeah.
But, well, man, it was hard. Like, this thing about, like, waiting for the weekend every Monday, like, it was crazy. Like, no way.
So, what's the plan then going forward? You've got this trip on the bike.
Oh yeah, that's just because I was doing like I was traveling by motorcycle first, and then buses and hitchhiking and flying. So I still have to do it by bike and sailing. So I'm looking for yeah, I really want to sail.
You're not slowing down at all then.
No, man. So I still have a long time ahead. So I decided to travel by bike just because I have never done that, so I want to see how it is.
Yeah.
So I just had a bike back home, so I fly back home, took my bike. It's a shit bike, it's not a good one.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it. I want to see how it is.
How's your mum feel when you come home for 2 weeks?
Yeah,
one big hug.
Of course, she's so happy. Like, but I think we're more connected when I'm traveling, you know, because you keep like in touch with. I try to keep in touch with people when I'm traveling. I always do that, but when I'm traveling, it's more intense.
Yeah.
So I talk to my family more when I'm traveling than when I'm back home. I want to back home like you're busy with your work and everything. So yeah, too busy to feel like you miss someone. that's, I mean, you miss people, but not like when you were traveling.
Yeah. Well, I think I don't know. What I want to know more about why you've stayed in this area and what it is about.
You mean
Punta del Diablo that
Punta
you
Diablo,
like. Yeah.
bro, man, there's no reason. Like, I have no reason for traveling, and I have no reason to stay here. Just like, I felt like I should stay here. The people were nice, so why not?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
I caught the same vibe, man.
Yeah,
but I
you don't have
stayed
to have a
for
reason.
6 nights
Yeah,
rather
see,
than a month.
it's better if you feel good in a place. You should stay. Like, we were not doing that in the beginning of the trip.
Yeah.
But now, like, if you learn, like, sometimes it's good to stay in a place for a while. If you feel good, you should, because you never get. I'm not saying you're never gonna be back here, but
Yeah.
the chances are so small.
Slim. Yeah.
So, well, just enjoy as much as you can. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering as well, given that you've been traveling so long, do you have like a project similar to doing a podcast? Do you take photos or anything
I take pictures, but now I try to travel light.
Yeah.
So
Of course, you can't have a massive camera.
so
when you're
in the
on a
beginning I
bike.
had like a big camera with me, a computer, so I was doing video. I love to edit videos.
Yeah.
So in the beginning I had like many videos I have 108 videos.
Are they
so
on
far.
YouTube somewhere?
No, not anymore. I took everything out of the YouTube and everything out.
I'm off the grid, man.
Yeah. Well, so I have a few on there. I can share with you later. But in the beginning, I had all this gear with me, and it was so heavy. And you always worry about this thing. Like, if you have a computer and a big camera with you, and you're in a hostel or anywhere, you're like, oh, hey, I need a locker. I need a place to, like, feel safe. And you're carrying it everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's not so nice. When I first started traveling without anything, I felt like, I'm gonna miss some pictures, because you think that, okay, I'm gonna see things that it will be awesome to have a picture of that or a video. But after a year that, I feel so much better not having those things. So much better.
So when do you think you learned how to travel?
I still learning. Like, I still learning. I didn't. Well, the only thing that I think I learned, like, is spending less money. Like, in the beginning, I was spending crazy amount of money. Like, of course,
Is crazy amount of money for you like $30 US a day, 25
yeah,
US
more
dollars a day?
maybe, because I was
Alright.
traveling by motorcycle. I have a huge motorcycle back home,
okay.
so a lot of money, and you learn how to handle the money after a while. Yeah. So now I think like I should spend less money, because then my travel is gonna last longer.
Yeah.
So I don't spend a lot of money anymore. Not at all. Like,
You're leaving now?
you're leaving. So
I'm gonna get my bus.
Alrighty, catch you around.
It's so nice to meet you.
This is our lovely friend that was playing guitar for us
she's
throughout.
Awesome. She's awesome.
See ya.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, such a nice voice. So you go straight away
To the
and
supermarket.
right to the supermarket, 3 blocks up, and then left.
Past the supermarket.
Past the supermarket. Next one
Then
after
left.
the supermarket, left, and go
Then
straight and
till I
choose to
get
the
to the bus.
shelter.
Perfect.
Yeah. See you around.
See you around.
In UK maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I always try. Yeah, that's one thing. There's one nice thing about traveling. Like, as a Brazilian, like I really like to stay in touch with people. So I send message to everyone. I'm very social, I think. So
I'm getting better at that, but I
Yeah,
can't.
that's the
I don't
thing,
message
that's the
people I
thing.
met in Central America, for example.
yeah.
like,
So when I was in Sweden, for example, like, it was crazy. Like, people. I mean, like, such a nice place. But I met a lot of nice people there. Lots of nice people there. But I feel like I try to keep in contact with some people there. They don't answer back. It's just because it's a different thing in between Brazil and other countries.
Yeah.
So that's not huge, but yeah, a different type of culture. Yeah, like I said before, that's not that different, but yeah, you have like.
Yeah. I must say, I reckon Brazilians do get up earlier or stay up later just so they can answer all the WhatsApp messages
think
that
so?
you guys receive every single
great,
day. It's ridiculous.
I know that, and they say voice message all the time.
Oh my god, it is
crazy,
so
isn't it?
true. When I was doing the couch surfing the last couple of weeks, like the host always had like the voice message next to his mouth and was chatting away to some person.
Brazil is like all about WhatsApp, so
Yeah.
people are talking all the time. Like, it's crazy. I like that. One thing I really like about Brazil that I don't see anywhere, any other place in the world, like when you catch a bus, for example, like people will talk to you. like
That
handling
was-
people.
yeah.
We talk to you about their lives, about everything. So I really love that thing. So I just love old people and kids because they talk more than like
Our age that are more
our
absorbed
age.
in something.
So when you see people, that's Nina.
At least we got that on the podcast.
Oh
that
yeah,
laugh is going
it's
down.
something that you have to record. So I just love like when I come inside of bus and they, like people talking to me all the time, like they tell their history and they ask me things. It's awesome. I really like that in Brazil. So when I got back home to take my bike, I was catching buses. I was like, fuck, I miss that shit so much.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
And you haven't found that anywhere else?
No, I haven't. It's always because of the language barrier too.
Yeah.
I mean, like where you can speak English anywhere, like English and Spanish. If you speak English and Spanish, you are like skipping
French,
rush.
hopefully.
You're gonna learn. Yeah, I don't. But yeah, people speak in English pretty much everywhere. So, but a few places they don't. So in that kind of place, like you have the language barrier, so it's not easy. So I'm not sure if I, for example, speak Nepalese, if I go inside of bus, people would speak with me. Like they do, like they try to interact with you when you're in Nepal.
Yeah.
But I don't know how it is with the talk.
True.
So yeah, it's easy to tell about Brazil because I have
I know.
been living
That
there
was
for
one
such
of the
a long
things I
time.
loved most about Brazil, and I think this interview is going to go at the end of the last Brazilian podcast I did because
yeah, cool.
I would love reflecting on the lovely country that I've left to the north of me. There.
Oh, it's an amazing place to go.
Yeah.
And did you feel safe there in Brazil? Like
100%.
Yeah,
There was
but-
only some nights when I was walking back from the Paralympic Games at 1 a.m. on my own.
it felt like
that
a bit
was
weird.
the only.
It's just like
time.
it's funny because I was always telling people that they should go there because it's a nice place to be.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, it's the same with Russia. People are too scary. Like, it's crazy. Like, for the entire South America, everyone is like, okay, it's unsafe, it's dangerous. And I always say, like, I don't
not
feel
the
it's
case.
not. Yeah, it's okay. Like, you just have to be aware of things. Like,
Yeah.
and then it's okay. Like, you're not gonna have a problem if you are like, just be aware of things. It's a nice place to travel, that's for sure. It's
Alrighty.
nice.
Yeah.
We felt good there.
Yeah, and it's gorgeous, absolutely.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
Beautiful people in a beautiful country.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, but it's a big one, so
Yeah.
you should
so
save
much
like
time.
maybe 3 months at least for Brazil.
2 months.
2 months is good
yeah,
enough.
But I didn't do the northeast. If
Ah,
I'd
you
done the
did.
northeast,
Yeah,
I
that's the
would've
thing. The
needed
northeast is the best
extra month.
place in Brazil. Like, it's the best part. I mean, like south of Brazil. You have been to the south.
Yeah,
It's not that different, right?
it's very European. I
Yeah,
quite like
that's
the
it is.
juxtaposition.
That's
yeah.
many of German people. So the northeast is more like African culture. So it's like a lot of music. Everything is more alive there, in my opinion. Like, so you have people playing drums on the street and like parties and like it's so happy. People are so alive there. It's so colorful. So it's
Well, I think we might, because I've been thinking about a sequel for the podcast called Cuba to Rio 2. And I go from Cuba down the Caribbean islands and then do like French Guiana and Venezuela when
never
it's
been
fixed
to.
in 15 years and then come down through the northwest of Brazil. I
you
think
should, man.
that's
Yeah,
another
it's awesome. Well, I mean, I have never been to the Guianas, but
trip. Yeah.
the rest is gonna fall in love with that. Like,
I want to
Northeast.
see a rocket launch from...
A what?
A rocket launch
Ah, okay,
from the
really?
European Space Agency launch pads there in French Guiana. That'd be the coolest
Awesome.
thing. I really wanted to record that for this podcast, but we didn't get there, guys. Sorry.
No.
So far.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, thanks so much for coming
you're
on the
welcome, man.
podcast
Thanks
because
for
we've got
coming
breakfast
to
coming
Punta.
up.
Yeah, the breakfast. Yeah, let's eat bread, man. Awesome bread we have here in Punta de Diablo. It's very soft, but
Yeah.
so I can't stop eating. That's so bad.
Take as much with you as you can. Alright, cheers, bud.
Thanks, man.
And that's it for yet another week. And next week, the first Uruguay episode will be hot on the heels of this one. And plenty has happened in the short time that I've been in the little country to the south of Brazil. And yeah, that's Brazil done, guys. I've only got 3 countries to go, and then it's all over. So yeah, if you like what you're listening to, make sure you hit a like on the Facebook page because that's where you'll find all the photos and like. And please leave a review on iTunes. Despite the irregularity that these podcasts go out with, I'm hoping we'll get back on the horse from here to the end of the trip. So, yeah, thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you next time.